Ah, America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Those words of our national anthem make all of us proud to be part of such a great country, filled with a diverse group of people with a wide array of faces and countless special places. Look, there's Ellis Island, the gateway to the nation for over 12 million immigrants. Yellowstone, the first national park in America and the only one of its kind. The Grand Canyon, where 277 miles of channels have been cut by the Colorado River over 17 million years. The Everglades, where several ecosystems are the homes for countless species of beautiful wildlife in southern Florida. And there's the mighty Mississippi River, untamable by man, as Mark Twain once said, yet no match for the willpower of pioneers determined to achieve manifest destiny. Many people, including myself, look at all the amazing natural beauty around our nation, like the Rocky Mountains and the Everglades, the Grand Canyon and the Great Lakes, and can't help but think of God or some higher power at work. But even those of you who don't make that connection can't deny that from coast to coast, no matter where you are in America, you're surrounded by someplace special, like Gettysburg, where 7,863 soldiers gave their lives on the field of battle in a war that ultimately proved no matter how bitter America's disputes may be, no division is strong enough to tear apart the destiny of liberty and one nation under God. Speaking of God, there's Christ Church in Philadelphia, one of the oldest churches in the nation. It's where Ben Franklin, George Washington, and other founding fathers worshipped, and where Ben Franklin was ultimately laid to rest. Since the dawn of our nation, the wonder of the natural world that is America and the wonder of the supernatural world that is religion have always been connected. Though this affiliation is cherished by some and detested by others, religion and America are intertwined throughout our nation's brief yet dramatic history. I find it interesting that the institution of religion has always played a major role in many aspects of American life, yet most of us have become desensitized to this connection and don't even think about it. But whether you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, or part of another faith, the belief that there is some higher power that has blessed America with natural resources and an abundance of freedoms is everywhere you look if you think about it. From our money, to our patriotic songs, to our major holidays, to street names, to landmarks such as these, even our Pledge of Allegiance, the connection between God and American society really is everywhere. Even the most devout atheists can't deny its significance. In fact, many atheists I've talked to are atheists for that very reason. They feel everything related to God and religion is forced upon them against their will, which is a direct contradiction to the notion that individuals have free will to believe or not believe in any God they choose. And that's one of the underlying roots of the debate over church and state separation. Like most issues, this debate has two groups of people with polar opposite viewpoints constantly battling back and forth in the streets and in the courts, trying to convince as many people as possible to join with them, because if the other side gets their way, it will lead to the demise of our great nation. Most people are like me, though, and fall somewhere in the middle, believing that both sides have legitimate viewpoints, and therefore some sort of compromise is the best solution. Although this is a dominant issue today, with groups like the ACLU and members of the religious right constantly in the news, if you think the debate over church and state separation is something new, you're definitely mistaken. This very same discussion was had by our founding fathers over 200 years ago, and although there were many important statesmen at the birth of our nation, let's just briefly look at 5 of the most important and influential founding fathers. Undeniably the most celebrated American of all time, George Washington was a leader, a war hero, the first president, and above all else, a man of upstanding moral character. Baptized in the Church of England, Washington considered his faith important, yet believed in toleration and freedom of other religions. To emphasize this, he gave a speech in 1790 stating, "As long as people remain good citizens, their faith does not matter." Samuel Adams, you know, the guy with the really good beer named after him, was so deeply religious that when Congress would meet in York, Pennsylvania, he'd attend services in German because no other services were available, even though he didn't speak any German. Yet despite his deeply held religious convictions, he once wrote, "Every man living in a state of civil society has a right peaceably and quietly to worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience." Known as the father of the Constitution, James Madison was a devout Episcopalian, yet believed if religion dictated American law, we would become a continent soaked in blood, much like Europe had been through the Crusades and other holy wars. An alliance or coalition between government and religion cannot be too carefully guarded against, Madison said. An example, therefore, of a perfect separation between ecclesiastical and civil matters is of importance. This way, religion and government will exist in greater purity. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thomas Jefferson's choice of words in declaring our independence from Great Britain is really ironic. And not just because he said all men were born equal and deserved liberty, yet he owned numerous slaves until he died. No, it's also ironic that he refers to man's creator in the preamble, yet was a frequent critic of organized religion, seldom seen in a church, and often criticized the institution altogether. But Thomas Jefferson believed there may be some higher power out there, and knowing most people felt the same way, he not only referred to man's creator, but also to nature's God, and then appealed to the supreme judge of the world on our behalf. He just left it up to us to decide for ourselves who that judge may be. And finally, my favorite of the Founding Fathers, Benjamin Franklin. Among the many words to describe Ben Franklin are inventor, author, printer, politician, diplomat, satirist, and a skeptic of religion. Though he had his doubts, he felt that if religion grew weaker, morality, virtue, and society in general would decline. As he once asked Thomas Paine, "If men are so wicked with religion, what would they be without it?" His skepticism never faded, as just 1 month before he died, he wrote the president of Yale, stating, "As to Jesus of Nazareth, I think his system of morals the best the world ever saw or will see, but I have doubts about his divinity, though I don't worry about it now, for I expect to soon know the truth with much less trouble." Good old Ben Franklin. I guess he was right about soon finding out the truth. But this film isn't about America's natural landmarks, or the separation of church and state, or even the Founding Fathers. But like my dad always told me, it's important to remember where you came from. And I think understanding the important role of religion in America is no exception.